This is embarrassing.
Just so much to discuss.
I'm ashamed to be a fan
I
of
could
this
use some Jim Beam right about now.
So that doesn't hold
Real
up.
sequel vibe, which isn't what I want to be reminded
I don't
of.
know where they go with this.
Oh my god.
Somebody in the
I can't
comments
believe
section,
it.
whoever you
Most
are,
Disney doesn't make
just say
it
you were
a
wrong.
habit of wasting my
Rascals.
time. Just apologize.
If bullies wanted to
Muppet
jump
gimmick.
in course with
Oh my
Leia
God,
and
let's
and
be reminded
franchises
of
that
that
are on
again.
par
That's
with
just what
fan
that
base.
story needed was your help. I have a lot to say. This episode was abysmal. Even though this is already a short episode, they still include in the first few minutes flashbacks to what just happened. Although I feel like I should be thankful at this point, since that's less time they can spend messing up the story since they're not capable of handling it. Obi-Wan wakes up and immediately says,
Where's Leia?
giving me real Finn vibes from the sequel trilogy.
Where's Rey?
That's a whole other rabbit hole I don't want to go down right now, so let's just continue. And then they cut to Reva and Leia. I also thought you had Flea and the Red Hot Waddle Peppers do this because you didn't want it to get back that you had kidnapped the senator's daughter. So isn't this a problem anyway? I want to note that Reva refers to him as Obi-Wan and Kenobi.
Obi-Wan is dead.
Kenobi is gone.
There was somebody in the comments section that was lecturing other people, saying, just pay attention. They've only called him Ben the whole time. Trying to get the writers out of the hole they've written themselves in.
Years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire.
So that doesn't hold up. Whoever you are, just say you were wrong.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
If you don't like Star Wars, don't watch it. Well, if you don't like comment sections, don't partake. Then Obi-Wan says,
No idea what the Empire is capable of.
Obi's been living under a rock, according to you. He hasn't even heard the mention of the name Vader within the past decade, and he's the number 2 in the Empire. Obi-Wan has a direct line to Bail Organa, and he's never even heard of Vader. What is he talking about with you have no idea what the Empire is capable of? He's the one that knows the least in this situation, according to you. I know nothing about current events, and even I know Kamala Harris is vice president.
He's bitching about Star Wars. Is he alt-right?
You can barely stand. You're not getting in there.
Actually, something about being thrown in the fire makes him be top form in this episode. Because that's where the writers want him to be, so that's fine. You could have had Obi-Wan still be injured, and it could have helped create more tension in the story, placing more agency on Tala and more dependency on her for the mission to be a success. You also could have implied that's a high-quality Bacta tank, and that he spent another couple of hours in there and is fully healed when he wakes up. But saying he's hurt over and over again, yet showing him perform better than he has the entire show, is incongruent and inconsistent. Quit lying. Now he can exercise force moving stuff. That's really good that he can do that now. I really don't know how he was planning on training Luke, which again you say was his intention according to your own show.
We talked about this. When the time comes, he must be trained.
I know that the writer isn't aware of episode 3, but he's also supposed to be learning to commune with Qui-Gon.
In your solitude on Tatooine, training I have for you.
How was he going to do that if not through the Force? It seems like it would be a Force practice, so I don't understand why he's so disconnected. He also hasn't used a Jedi mind trick within 10 years' time as well, which you think would be really useful for staying hidden. Also, even in just aiming to protect Luke, since that was his mission to look over and protect the boy.
I will take the child and watch over him.
How is he going to protect him? What happens if a crate dragon shows up? What happens if Tusken Raiders show up? You know, that they killed his grandma. They attack him later on in lore. It seems like Luke could get in some trouble. What is Obi going to do? Also, Mos Eisley is on Tatooine. It's a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Don't think some smugglers or criminals could just come over from over there and that Luke might need protecting? Jabba the Hutt's territory. He's the biggest gangster in the galaxy. Bounty hunters such as pre-Disney Boba Fett hang out there before he was such an upstanding citizen.
Do you remember Boba Fett?
Nope. Just been playing with his meat for the past decade. But now he can do some force exercises. That's great.
The past is a hard thing to forget.
Some things can't be forgotten.
This is coming from forgetful Obi, the most forgetful motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. He forgets R2, he forgets C-3PO, he forgot that Anakin became Vader, he forgot his responsibilities to Luke, he forgot there was another hope for the galaxy, forgot Leia.
That boy is our last hope.
No, there is another.
At this point, it would be more consistent to retcon it to where Obi-Wan developed Alzheimer's.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It sounds generally familiar. Wasn't he a general in the Clone Wars?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
The one that was always saying hello there. I just said hello there to that little droid.
Oh my God!
Well, of course I know him. He's me.
Ice Cube's son, Zaxby's Eyes, calls him General, almost as if Obi-Wan is a recognizable person. You'd expect the Empire to have far more organization than the Rebellion.
Nothing wrong with a little order, right?
Palpatine and Vader both know what Obi-Wan looked like 10 years ago, and it's not too different. And they have a recent photo of him. Yet at no point in the previous episode or this episode is Obi-Wan, the only bearded man at the base with the person-shaped appendage hanging off his body, deemed recognizable. I don't know if there's a single scene in this episode that gets through unscathed. It's terrible. And they're worried here because Leia has the info.
She knows everything.
Later on, Reva just will not mind probe Game of Thrones lady. Tala has far more information to be worried about, and Reva suspects that she is a spy. Mind prober. You unnaturally do this and don't do this at the writer's discretion. And in this episode, they elected to have Reva probe a child she thinks may have overheard something to show off how powerful Leia is, but then not do it to Tala, who she thinks is a spy. And this base is supposed to be impenetrable, already been broken into from the bottom before by Cal. There's no sharks with laser beams on their head guarding it. You can get in from underneath, you can get in through the front door, you can get in flying in from above. It's literally the most penetrable base I've ever seen. Is it because even underwater the glass isn't reinforced and a stormtrooper could just randomly drown them all at any point in time? Is that why it's so dangerous? Then Game of Thrones lady threatens this guy here with the Grand Inquisitor.
Perhaps I should just inform the Grand Inquisitor of your insolence.
If you have her give an empty threat here, there's Palpatine, Vader, all of the other Inquisitors, but she chose the worst option, because whether you believe Disney broke their own canon and he's dead, or if he wakes up later out of a bacta-tank, or if he faked his death to get one up on Reva, in all of these scenarios, it would have been communicated amongst the Imperials that he is out of the mix.
Is this a stare contest?
Is this a stare contest? It's not the child actress's fault. It's the adults around her who write and direct incompetently. Leia is young. She's a child. It's okay for her mind to still be forming because that's what happens. She doesn't have to be a baby with God powers. It takes away from the first time her showing any Force ability being through a connection to Luke. Through a sibling connection.
You've got to go back.
And in Return of the Jedi, when she says,
You have a power I don't understand and could never have.
I didn't take that to mean I've been able to force push trained Inquisitors out of my mind since I was a child.
You're afraid that you will never be as strong as Darth Vader.
Of course, Obi-Wan doesn't put on the Stormtrooper outfit because that would make too much sense for sneaking around the base. And he's a fucking idiot now. Tala's the only one that could be in danger here. Yet any chance they have to create tension, they just don't. We know Obi-Wan and Leia are going to get out of this fine, so the real unknown factor here is Tala. She could get captured, she could get killed. That's where your tension should come from, but they don't know how to write. So she stupidly walks through everywhere pretty much loudly screaming, I'm a traitor! I'm undercover! I'm a traitor! Taking out an officer in front of other people!
What was that?
I don't want this to remind me of A New Hope. I'm literally worried that I may watch A New Hope and be reminded of this episode. And Obi-Wan goes through a restricted area where he discovers some preserved Jedi and whatnot, but I no longer care.
Bingo. Dino DNA.
Tala, I need a distraction.
Why? What's happened?
Just do it now.
And Tala just goes and acts suspicious to Reva. She could have pulled a fire alarm, she could have cut the power. I don't know how she thought that's what she should do with only that communication. I should be able to like this scene, but it reminds me that in the last episode, Obi-Wan didn't know that lightsabers gave off light. He wanted to be an idiot against Darth Vader, but suddenly becomes smarter against 2 stormtroopers. Which situation would you rather be hidden in? They gave Darth Vader fucking teleporting abilities like Michael Myers or Jason. Fucking hide.
Turn the light off. Turn the light off.
If she was going to let them escape anyway, she should have held on to at least one thing. Either Tala here, Leia, something, someone. Walkie-talkie and Inquisitor this way pronto. I wish the Empire could do something about all of this failure. They need a manager who can give them consequences. I wish when someone was incompetent, you could just choke them the fuck out.
Hashtag Vader did nothing wrong.
And there's an open hand face hit to the stormtrooper helmet. I don't know why Reva let her leave with them. Imagine if Tala took a few hits from the stormtroopers here so she could set the gun to stun. Because she was once an Imperial herself, and she's been living amongst them and has an understanding of them. Imagine if she was a character, not a poorly used tool to move the plot along. Water rushing out of here would have really helped sell this, but I mean, it's the least of its problems at this point. I honestly think there might be one person at Lucasfilm who still gives a shit, and they sucked Mickey Mouse's dick to put this scene here because it's a metaphor of how everyone around them keeps wanting to break Star Wars and they're doing everything they can to hold it together. I can't believe they had the balls to just pull this Austin Powers, Little Rascals, Muppet move here. Everybody should be on high alert. Why aren't people running? Why aren't people more attentive and more observant than ever? And then they show us Leia in the coat like we couldn't figure it out. Are you insulting us? Or are you highlighting just how stupid these characters are? If you hate Star Wars, stay the fuck away from it. Quit writing for it. Do a parody. Do a comedy. It's fine. Go write Spaceballs 2 instead. Just quit transforming the source content into a parody of itself.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
I don't know whether to think the main characters, our heroes, are stupid, or that the Empire is just so stupid that it's actually a good plan, but either way it's bad writing.
Because they're stupid. Because they're stupid.
You can have characters outsmart each other with one person making a smart and competent move and doing something that makes sense and the other person just doing something smarter and more competent. You don't have to make everyone so dumb. It makes me ashamed to be a Star Wars fan. It's embarrassing. If bullies wanted to jump me for still being a fan of this franchise, I'd have to help them kick my ass.
I'm kicking my ass! Do you mind?
A traitor! Traitor!
They also keep calling him Old Man.
Child and an old man.
You seem kind of old and beat up.
You're my daughter.
Granddaughter, maybe.
Disney, there are more than 20 million sentient species in the Star Wars galaxy. Don't choose to be an ageist. They could deploy ships here. You would think this impenetrable fortress would deploy some ships. Vader's so mad right here, but he literally let him go in the previous episode. He demonstrated he could put the fire out. He also lives on fucking Mustafar. He's conquered his fear of fire by this time. He's around it all the time. Some guy named Wade died and they mourned him longer than he had screen time as Admiral Akbar rolled over in his grave.
Heart's gonna trouble.
Where's Wade?
Water, wade in the water. Wade in the water.
Oh, God.
Even the bonding between these two here makes it so much fucking more insulting. Dear Disney, you've done this adult becomes caretaker to a young person dynamic at least 3 times since you've owned it in Rebels, Mandalorian, and Bad Batch. Disney, is this you?
And if you have any requests, shout them out. Play that same song. All right, same song. Here we go.
Are you drunk, Disney? If you're going to tell the same story over and over again, at least have the decency to not get worse at telling it. I understand the show isn't over and some of these issues may be explained, but I've been waiting for Disney Star Wars to quit digging themselves deeper into a hole for years now. Whatever revelations come after episode 4, there's just too much that's broken. I enjoyed Miss Marvel more than this, and it wasn't made for me. I hope this is cathartic for people who feel the same way that I feel. I also have a link in the description to a Buy Me a Coffee account where you can leave me a $1, $3, or $5 tip. It's safe, easy, and non-committal. And I hope the people who love the show know that I'm not against them, because nothing about our difference of opinion on television interferes with me sending you love as well. You're all kings and queens in my book. Thanks for watching.
Play that same song. All right, same song. Here we go.